We've gotten a regular player of Bloxburg now with us in the studio. Now, my first question is a rather basic one, but is a good question. Is Bloxburg dying? What do you think?
So I always say generally the majority of the players are just upset with the direction of the game right now and the leadership or I guess lack of leadership at Coffeestain Studios. There's a lot of different problems going on with console. Most console players on Bloxburg simply can't play the game. The money update, for example, where they cut our and reduced our pay so we can't afford to build as expensive and big things as we used to. I would say at least 80-90% of players have worse opinions on Coffee Stain now than they did a year ago, for example.
When did this all start?
I would probably say definitely the Christmas update. Bloxburg was doing pretty well until then. And Coffee Stain came in, they were doing great updates. And then as soon as that Christmas update hit, they didn't add anything new. They added this elf hunt calendar that wasn't really usable. No one really used it. It was pretty much for players that were doing the elf hunt late. And then since then, the updates have been small and far in between. They haven't really made very many updates or big updates, at least anything impactful. It's been small stuff, small little role play items. And then, they've added, of course, the money update. And then over the summer, they went free. They didn't add a map revamp. And all they did is they just clicked go free.
As you said, Coffee Stain. How would you describe their ownership of the game?
I guess their leadership style is one of the major problems with them. Yeah, it's definitely been a hard past few months, and most players just aren't playing anymore. You mentioned the decrease in player count. A lot of players just simply don't play anymore. They just aren't willing to go through the mistreatment by Coffee Stain and the developers over the past few months. They just simply stopped playing.
How do you think the developers of Coffeestain could save the game? Is it savable at this point?
It's definitely savable, but it's going to be far worse or much harder to save the game than it would have been when they went free just in June 15th, I believe. I think over the holiday season, they could definitely grab back some players if they step up their updates by 2 or 3 times what they've been producing over the course of 2024 so far. So if they add a lot of new features, I feel like that's what they need, features and or map revamps, stuff on the map to do, stuff that will keep you engaged in the game longer than just checking out what they added in the update. As of right now, I wouldn't be surprised if it consistently reaches 10,000 players on weekends. It used to reach even 100,000 players on weekends, but it doesn't do that anymore under Coffee Stain.
We have heard a lot on Twitter about how bad the new developers are. But I have to ask, do you know if Coiptus and Froggy are still working on the game or have they quit the team?
So I do know both of them still hold a role on the game. I actually asked Froggy Hops myself about this on Twitter, and he did say that he was still working in the game in a way. He just had a different role, and same goes for Coeptus. I'd imagine if he sold the game for $100 million, he probably doesn't want to work on the game as much as he did before. I'm sure he probably works in some sort of direction, sort of maintaining the direction of Bloxburg. He's not doing a very good job at it, if that's what his job is, but I know they still work on the game, both of them.
No, we have heard the reasons why Bloxburg is dying and how it could be saved. But do you think that it would have experienced this if Coiptus and Froggy hadn't sold the game?
I think one big thing that people don't realize when they talk about Coeptus and Coffee Stain and compare and contrast is Coeptus never talked to us, like ever. Like we think communication may be bad now. I think they're doing a decent job, at least for what they're given by Coffee Stain. But most people think the communication was somewhat better under Coeptus. That's not true. Coeptus never talked to us. Froggy Hops rarely talked to us. Not really as like the Bloxburg developer, if that makes sense. So Coeptus and Froggy Hops, they were good in some aspect. They had better updates in terms of consistency and quality and quantity. And they never talked to us. There was no communication at all.
But apart from all the latest updates, how have the developers changed since they took over the game? It can't be that all the updates have been that bad. Let's look at the burger place as an example. That was okay, right?
That was actually a great update. Now, that was 2023. That was before that Christmas update. 2023 was a great year for Bloxburg, but ever since then, it's just been going downhill ever since that Christmas update. Yes, they did make great updates. Coffee Stain has shown an ability and has shown they're capable of making great updates, being communicative, but they haven't done anything like that since then, and they've only gone downhill. The updates have gotten smaller and smaller and smaller, and they've come far and few in between. It's the leadership. People often like to attack, Bram and Mari, which are the community developers for Bloxburg. I don't even really blame the developers. I blame whoever is at the top making decisions about what should be put in the game next. Why was a campsite the last update? Who asked for that? No one asked for that, and it I honestly kind of find it quite offensive, actually, after an entire summer of complaining about updates and they add a campsite. What is that? There was no reason for them to add it.
Have any other Bloxburg influencers been voicing their opinions on this?
I'm friends with a lot of people in the Bloxburg content creator program, but I do think that a lot of them are somewhat like almost like scared to say anything about the Bloxburg developers, anything negative. I honestly would too. When I was thinking about, you know, if I was in the Bloxburg content creator program, would I be saying the things that I'm saying now on Twitter? Probably not. Not as harsh as I am. I'm just being honest in terms of like on Twitter what I'm saying now. I gave up caring about what anyone thinks in terms of like the Bloxburg development. I'm just being honest. But I don't think a lot of the YouTubers are. I don't for whatever reason. Maybe they think that they'll be removed from the program or whatever the case may be. But even not just them, the people that are outside of the program that are big Bloxburg YouTubers, maybe they feel that they can't say their honest opinions or say the raw truth about what they think about the Bloxburg updates out of fear of like retaliation from their fan base, which, mind you, the majority, almost all of their fan bases would agree with me in my takes on Bloxburg. So I don't know why that is or why would they possibly think that. But I don't really have sympathy for the actual people in charge of Coffeestain, the people that are leading the game and taking us down this bad path. They need to be held accountable. I'm talking in real life. Like someone needs to be held accountable for the killing of this game. There's people that rely on this game for their livelihood. There's people that make videos on this game as their job. Like there's really money at stake. There's lives at stake. Really, when you think of it.
Is there anything else you want to add?
Well, I just hope that someone at Bloxburg is watching this and will take what I said and do something with it. Show it to the leadership. It doesn't help to just see it and not share it. This needs to be shared and produced massively. It's like we need massive reach on this. You're going to kill the game. We need change now. And I posted many things on my Twitter account. My Twitter account is a very good place to get information and news on Coffeestain and Bloxburg. So definitely follow that to stay updated. Hopefully that happens soon, but I'll keep you all updated on my Twitter account. So be sure to follow that at Cyder_TV. And then, of course, my YouTube at Cyder. But that's really all I have to add. So thank you all for having me on today's show.